I'm Luis Neto. This is my voyage from Refugee to refitting a sailboat. I'm a barber at sea, cutting through the waves. If I can do it, so you can. Good morning, good morning. Permission to come on board?
Yeah, sure.
Today I'm here with fellow sailor from the same boatyard who's been around the world from North Wales all the way to Galápagos and up in New Zealand. He has gone through one of the most beautiful and challenging waters. His name is?
I'm Chris.
Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I bought this boat shortly before I retired, and after having this boat for a year, I decided it was capable of great things. And then when I retired, I didn't want to sit and do nothing, so I decided to set out on a voyage and perhaps be a bit of a liveaboard and see if I liked it or not. So that's what I did. So the boat, Sea Bear, she's called Sea Bear. She's a Vancouver 28. That means she's 28 feet, and the model name is a Vancouver. And I chose her partly because they've got such a good reputation as a seagoing boat. Name comes from the designer lived in Vancouver, built it in, the first one was ever built in Vancouver. And it's 28 because it's 28 foot long. Okay, one of the features that it has is a wind vane on the back, not as standard but fitted afterwards, and it's a monitor pendulum, servo pendulum wind vane system built by Monitor. But one of the other things I like about Vancouver 28s and Sea Bear in particular is what's called a cutter rig. That means instead of just one foresail at the front, it's got two, a Yankee, and then inside of that it's got a staysail. And having two sails instead of one big foresail means it's more controllable. Up front here we've got a windlass, which I didn't have on my journey. I just used to have to pull the anchor chain in by hand, which, as you can appreciate, was quite hard work at times. But I later fitted an electric windlass, and that makes light work really of anchoring and pulling up the anchor, which is a great thing.
What kind of anchor do you have here?
This is called a Manson Supreme, which is very similar to a Rockner. Up here we've also got Dorado vents which ventilate the boat. They're so designed so that they let air in but will stop water or spray or rain going down inside, so it keeps the inside of the boat nice and fresh and cool and lets lots of fresh air in so it doesn't get hot and stuffy down below. Also, these plastic vents have got these guardrails on, nice stainless steel grab things which are really useful for grabbing hold of, particularly when it's rough, so you've got plenty to hold on to when you're going forwards on the boat. Up here is the life raft. It's a 4-person one in a canister, mounted here where it's out of the way but accessible should the worst thing happen you need to abandon ship or anything like that. I used to have one in a valet, and it used to be in a locker down below, but it was awkward, and when it became time for a new one, I got one that fitted here out of the way, which is very nice. Sometimes to help steering the boat I have this what's called a tiller pilot, which is this, which fits onto a little peg on the tiller and switches it on and it's got an inbuilt compass, so it maintains a certain setting or a certain heading. Trouble with them is it uses electricity. They're also noisy. I don't like them very much. I don't use it when I'm sailing, just when I'm motoring. Much prefer the wind vane, which by the way is called Martha.
Why is it Martha? my one is called Caro, which means expensive. That's Caro in Portuguese. Yeah.
It comes from a song, Sweet Martha Lorraine.
I see.
But you just have to have a name for things sometimes on the boat.
Yes. And it seems very robust the way they were built it.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite handy because it's useful to, if you go for a swim, you can use that to get back on board. Yeah, see?
Yes. Let's go on board and check it out inside.
AIS, Automatic Identification System.
Okay.
It sends out a signal which other boats or ships even can pick up and tell where you are, how fast you're going, the course you're doing, and you can get that information back. So you can see even if a big ship is over the horizon, which you can't see by eye, it sends a signal which picks it, the device picks it up and will warn you that there's a ship out there. Mm-hmm. Okay. Chart table where you can do your navigation work, and here there's a drawer so I can keep charts. Paper chart, I'm a big fan of paper charts.
Is there any particular reason why you're a fan of paper charts?
They don't go wrong.
Great.
Unless they blow away in the wind or get soaked by water. But because they live down here,
they're always protected.
They're always protected. Yeah. On the port side, we've got a wet locker. So if your waterproofs get wet, they can hang up there. Racks here for cutlery and bowls and drinking stuff and food, and a sink and a paraffin cooker which works on pressure.
Where is the tank?
And the tank is underneath here.
I see.
And one of the benefits of having paraffin rather than gas cooking is you've got no gas aboard, so no gas leaks, no likely to blow yourself up with gas leaks. The other thing I quite like about the boat is down here the water supply to the sink is by foot pedals, little foot pumps, and we've got two, one for fresh water and the other one is for salt water. So when you're on a blue water voyage where the water's clean enough, you can use salt water for washing up, etc., and it saves you fresh water, which is great on a long voyage. It's a great advantage.
See.
Berths, both fully 6 foot long, which is good. Lockers here for putting various bits in. Bookshelves, more lockers. Again, there's always plenty to hang on to when the sea's rough down below. Even I'm only 5'6", but so it's quite nice that there's standing headroom here. So you don't have to go about the boat and duck.
Yes.
We've even got this table. So if you really want, these flaps come up and extend, so you can eat your dinner in comfort. We've got what's a Dickinson's heater, which is drip-fed paraffin. I correct that, drip-fed diesel, So when it's cold you can warm the boat up and it's quite nice. It's nice dry heat.
Do you do parties here in the boat?
Parties?
Party. I see the big speakers.
Big speakers. Well, it's nice to have some sounds. Yeah. Yeah. Bit of reggae from time to time. And unlike many boats where the forecabin or the forepeak has got a bunk in it, this particular boat has just got storage. It's got the heads, of course, centrally positioned, and then on this side we have a little sink and a mirror. It's got cluttered up at the moment with things, and on the other side we've got a little hanging wardrobe with drawers for all your clothes and such like, shelves to put things, and then a vast amount of storage in the front of the boat here. So I've got all my spare sails, spare ropes, I've got an inflatable dinghy, a guitar which I play very, very badly. So that's about it really.
Yes.
So Seabear's got an inboard diesel engine, 2-cylinder, so 2 stages of get to it. You take it off the companionway steps, and slide that out, and then you can reveal the engine in all its glory.
I assume that's the fuel tank.
And the fuel tank sitting above it there, yeah. So
let's start from the beginning. What was your motivation to embark on this massive journey?
when I retired, I didn't want to sit and do nothing. I thought there's more to life than sitting on a sofa watching daytime TV and in my carpet slippers. So I thought I'd set out on a bit of an adventure on my boat.
How long did it take to prepare the boat for the voyage?
It was a matter of a few months really, because I didn't have much time from when I handed in my notice, which was in June, and when I set sail was in August the same year.
What was the biggest challenge in getting started?
Thinking of everything I had to do in time and getting it all done. It was just a rush of making lists and ticking them off really, because part of it was leaving the house and what was I going to do with the house and all my possessions at home.
How did you prepare for major crossing like the Bay of Biscay?
I just made sure I had a good plan, because I was going from North Wales and then to the Scilly Islands. I just wanted to make sure, I'd read a bit about it, so I wanted to make sure I was offshore of the continental shelf, which is where, if bad weather strikes, is the most troublesome seas. So I made sure I was well offshore when I was heading down, and made sure I was prepared if I got bad weather.
Any memorable moments or challenge during the early legs from North Wales to Spain and Marrakesh?
Yeah, I had a storm or a gale crossing Biscay, which was not very pleasant, but one highlight of it was having a minke whale surface alongside me, blowing, and the first I saw was this spray, as the whale breathed out and surfaced right alongside me. It was quite fantastic. And I discovered when I was crossing Biscay why they call it blue water sailing, because out there, away from land, the water really is blue. It's amazing.
Great. Let's dive into the most exciting part. Tell us about crossing the Atlantic from the Canary Islands to the Caribbean.
From what I'd read and heard, crossing when I did, which was after Christmas time, was supposed to be all plain sailing with nice sunshine, white fluffy clouds, gentle winds, calm seas. But it was anything but that. We had days where never saw the sun. We had lots of squalls, lots of rain, lots of high winds. So it was all a bit scary and a bit uncomfortable, to tell the truth. But we came through it.
Okay. What were the most memorable moments of sailing the Caribbean, and which islands stood out the most?
The clearness of the water, the beautifulness of all the beaches and all the islands, how delightful it was to just go swimming several times a day sometimes, just swim off the boat. The food, the people, the friendliness and the different cultures. It was all rather wonderful.
There was anything that made you laugh, or anecdotes like from Cuba or Panama or Panama Canal?
Panama in particular made me realise that there was much more to Panama than just a canal. There was the jungle and there was the offshore islands, which were quite magnificent really. I thought Panama was just a canal really, but it was much more than that. And it was very nice.
What was it like to sail the Galápagos Islands? Was it as magical as people imagine?
It was fantastic. It's a place that's actually ruled by sea lions. One feels the sea lions everywhere. But I also took a short tour on a tourist boat, a big motor cruiser, where we were looked after really well, to visit various different islands to see the iguanas and the birds and all sorts of stuff. And it was just magic. It was magic. Coming past.
How did you prepare for the long passive crossing to the Marquesas, Tahiti and Bora Bora?
Well, the first job I did was I anchored in the Las Perlas Islands, which is after I'd gone through the Panama Canal, and then I dived down and scrubbed off the bottom of the boat because I knew that they were very keen on having a clean hull, and it also made the passage easier because with a clean hull the boat moves better. And then I just made sure I had enough food. Set off developed a rhythm of doing certain things at certain times. For example, eating my evening meal just before sunset, which was at 6 o'clock. I made sure I could eat, clear away, and then get ready for a night passage every night. So you just develop this kind of routine until days passed.
What was the most challenging part of sailing through the Pacific?
Some of the squalls were pretty fearsome. I remember being caught out by one squall and it was drizzling, and then suddenly the squall hit you and it had too much sail up, so I had to take the sail down in a hurry, and the boat was laid over on its ear, and it was all pretty scary and pretty frantic for 10 minutes until you got it sorted out and under control, and then it was all right again.
What would you tell someone who dreams of following in your footsteps?
Just be bold and go and do it. You've nothing to lose.
Chris is leaving the building.
Any moments of doubt or fear? How did you overcome them?
Yes, both doubt and certainly fear at times. But you just have to get on with the job, whatever that happens to be. So if it's strong winds, then you have to put a reef in the sails. Big seas, just have to make sure that you hang on to something, you know.
What were the highlights in places like Tonga and New Zealand? What's life like now after completing the journey?
It was fantastic to see different cultures, and to meet different people, to eat different foods. sometimes I hanker back and wish I could go and do it all again.
How has this journey changed you personally? Would you do it again?
Yes, I would do it again. At the time, I was prepared to carry on, but then, unfortunately, the COVID pandemic came around and everywhere was locked down. And so I couldn't, at that time, I couldn't carry on. Okay, sailing to me gives you a lot of freedom. Going to sea means a lot of freedom. When I set off, I didn't tell anybody, apart from my family and friends. I didn't tell anyone in authority. I just got on my boat and sailed off to go around the world. And that to me was kind of an essential thing. And it's a shame that you can't actually do that. Even though it's only a few years ago, you can't do that these days so easily. But it's always been just getting on my boat and being able to go somewhere. Not just sailing up and down, but just going to a different destination, maybe somewhere you've never been to before, or somewhere you've been to before but you liked a lot, so you want to go back there. So that's what sailing means to me.
Sailing to me is like freedom, the fact that I'm close to nature. As someone who likes to walk and travel, explore, it helps me feel like more close to nature. It's a way to like stay away from the rat race as well. It's like a sort of a free way of traveling. That's what sailing means to me. Yeah,
and that's what I share with Lewis.
Yeah, and if you want to leave on the comments below your thoughts about sailing.
Okay, I invite you to share your comments below. Whether you've been around the world, where you've been, what's inspired you, and also if you've got any questions to ask.
Thank you for sharing this journey with us. It's a proof that no matter where we start, the ocean always offers new horizons, and for those brave enough to set sail. If you enjoyed this episode, like, share, comment. In the next episode, I'll be telling you guys about my next projects. I'll be starting making a dodger or spray hood, and I will also start the project of the windlass.